Awesome. There we go. 3, 2, and 1. Well, Mary Katie, this is it.
Is it?
This is it. We've made it. We've made it to the end of the year.
It doesn't feel like it yet, but yes,
Are
you're
you
right.
Well,
I feel like I can squeeze a lot more into these last, 4 or 5 weeks.
you go right ahead. You go right ahead. Just remember that there's going to be a whole week where I'm going to be gone. So if you've got, news and stuff, you gotta break it before then.
Okay. All right. Noted.
Otherwise, I'm going to be gone.
No breaking news on your vacation.
Yes.
Fair.
Indeed. Please. Yes, I will be in South Dakota for a portion
That's
of
one
the
heck of a vacation
Christmas holiday.
venue.
Yes, there will be little children that will be huddled around Uncle Mike, and there will be stories told.
So fun.
There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I guess at the end of the year, we've already passed, the budget. We've had some discussion on a few other things at City Hall, but I mean, what is there for a mayor to do once the budget is passed?
My gosh. So obviously we have priorities. We've actually been working a lot. We're meeting weekly with a team to look at what kind of grants we can apply for, because we have a lot of stuff that we want to do that maybe isn't in the budget or can't be yet. So we're applying for a bunch of grants. We're working with some teams that know what they're doing. So excited about that. We're working, I know the governor is getting ready to put his budget together. So, we're talking about our priorities and what we can share with the governor. Obviously, we have our budget, which is our biggest priority document, but, we have other things we'd like to talk about, PFAS being probably number one for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I know that that's going to be something that you're going to dive, basically right into early this week, because the Waterworks Commission is going to be meeting, and you've had a couple of things that you've been talking about. First and foremost, of course, the PFAS, and then the lead service line ordinance is going to be coming up here soon as well, correct?
Yep, we're talking about this. This isn't the first time we've talked. We want to make sure that we're able to get the lead out of, our lead service lines. So that's the discussion. And do we need to have a motivator like an ordinance? And, I've heard from some folks that are not pleased with the concept. Obviously, if we're saying fix it or get fined, that's not good. But so we're going to talk a little bit more about what that ordinance should and could look like, so that we're incentivizing the right things, and that we're also participating. We get a grant from the DNR for those lead service line replacements. So really important that we're getting that lead out, just as important probably as the PFAS actually. So
yeah, and I know that there's still a lot of unknowns to this, because there could be certain grant dollars available. There could be other ways to fund this, so that way the whole brunt of the bill doesn't fall on the taxpayer, or the ratepayer, I should say, or the homeowner, I should say, actually.
Yeah, whoever's responsible for those lead service lines.
For the property.
So, we've had the grant program for the last couple of years. It's one of those where we're not sure how long it will last, so we apply every single year. We get our grant, and we give about $5,000 to $6,000 out to folks who need to replace that on their personal side, and then we do the city side. So yeah, we want to make sure that we're still getting people to participate. So what that looks like is really important for us. So yep, we'll talk about that. PFAS we'll talk about. We're talking about how we finance all of this stuff, making sure we're being fiscally responsible for this whole process too. So it's a lot, and it probably won't end. We just had our Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting yesterday, which will be last week for when this airs, right?
Right.
But we are starting a water study group through that organization too, because it's not just Wausau that's working through this, it's other municipalities. So we want to make sure that we're coordinating our efforts. If there's funding that we can do regionally that get a bigger bang for all of our bucks, that's what we want.
Yeah, because again, you said it a couple of times before, Wausau is really the first one through the wall on this, at least in this region. Not only were you really one of the first to announce that, hey, we've got this in the water, but one of the first ones to maybe have a drinking water treatment facility that will be as robust as the one that you're talking about.
Yeah, but we're not the only one, right? Eau Claire is now talking about this. I believe that they have allocated a couple of million for a granular activated carbon system, which is much like we are talking about. So, we're all kind of talking about this. We're on the pointy end, unfortunately, because it's every single one of our wells. So this is where it's kind of hard to be first, because it's expensive and it's untested, and the system will be great, but it's It's hard. It's hard to be first, and
Yeah.
you have the stresses of your whole community on your shoulders,
Right.
keeping you up at night.
Indeed. And so this is all going to be discussed later this week at Waterworks Commission. I mean, can people expect maybe a decision on this, any one of these?
I expect us to have a robust discussion. I'm not sure that we'll have a decision yet. I feel like maybe an ordinance is something that people are going to want to chew on a little bit. They're going to want to hear from the community. So if people are interested, if they watch the discussion, if they read the materials, we would love to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. And then as far as the PFAS goes, I know a lot of the discussion has been about what is this going to do to the rates, especially having a significant rate hike just a couple of years ago that we're beginning to feel now for a full year here as far as the rates go there. I know that's something that's not exactly been a popular idea with a lot of people. Do we know where we are yet with that?
I'm not quite sure where we're at with those numbers. You know, we are working with a financial advisor because this is complicated and it's taking into consideration a variety of different funding sources and, you know, frankly, like politics. I'm thinking now about the earmark that we have in the federal budget and what does it look like when the House changes over if the appropriations aren't voted on yet. So, you know, we wonder, is that still going to be there? So, you know, there's a lot of complicated factors involved. So we're working with a financial planner that knows how to make these rate cases and make it reasonable. The first go around, it was one of those things where like, I don't think I can stomach this. Can we talk a little bit more?
Yes.
So we're continuing that discussion. And, you know, Marianne did a great job kind of discussing that during our budget workshops. But we still have a little bit of work to do there.
Indeed, and it's something that we are probably going to be talking about well into 2020
for the rest of my life, frankly, right? Like,
yes, it certainly we're coming up on 1 year of this, and actually, I was just talking about this too because, you know, we're thinking about year-end things, WBA award entries, and I said, wait a minute, this has got to go in there, and I'm like, have we been talking about this for a year now?
Yeah, and since January.
Yeah,
well,
sure enough, we have.
That's when we said we wanted to test. So yeah, we're getting there.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, and again, we'll certainly be here to let everybody know throughout the process what.
Thank you for that.
What ends up happening. You were just in Madison just about a week ago now. One of the things that you've been talking about with the League of Municipalities, obviously everybody talks about the shared revenue. We've got $6 billion sitting in the state's checkbook that we still don't know what's going to happen with it. A lot of cities like yourself have been clamoring for more shared revenue. Where do you think we are with that right now?
You know, I feel cautiously optimistic, which is probably a strange place to be right now. But I feel good because we've been having these discussions for the last several years. I mean, it started well before me, I'm sure, but we continue to have them. And it feels to me like the legislature understands that the way we're funding right now isn't working. It's really tough on, property taxpayers. It's really tough on everyone. Municipalities, I mean, we haven't seen a significant increase since I was in high school, which is, I mean, we're getting on 20 years now, so it's tough. So I feel good about the discussions that are happening. I know that all of the interest organizations, the League of Municipalities, that's a hard one to come out. The Towns Association, the Counties Association, they're all talking too, and we're all talking together, which is really the key here, because we're all kind of asking for the same thing. Can we fix the way municipalities, cities, towns, villages, counties are funded? And I feel like we have an ear. So I think this discussion will continue. I don't know if we'll come to a solution yet. I think this is something that's new. And when you're changing something as complex as funding, there's a desire to be really simple. Like, just make it an easy formula. And it's really hard because every city and every county has different ways of doing things. And we talked a little bit about these payment in lieu of taxes, these payments that some cities get. Like, is that on the table? And some people are like, no. So we've been talking a little bit about, well, what is on the table then? What can we talk about? How do we talk through this? So I think you'll hear more about this discussion. I've heard about it. I don't know about you. I watch the Sunday morning Yap Yap shows, and they've been talking a lot about shared revenue, which is a nerdy thing to talk about, but I'm super enthusiastic. The state superintendent of schools was talking about it on Sunday, so it's surprising to me. So I think we're getting somewhere. Obviously, we have a biennial budget that's in the works right now. The governor's office is working on it. I'm sure the legislature is working on their own version, so they'll come together and decide. I don't know. Maybe in the next 2 years we could see some action, though. I'm ready.
So and again, you brought up how complicated this is. Let's say, just for the sake of easy numbers, Wausau ends up getting $500,000 extra out of this, $1 million extra out of this. What would that mean then for taxpayers, or what would you hope that means for taxpayers?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big deal. We're adding all of those firefighters, right? We're getting $3 million in a federal grant. That lasts us for 3 years. If we had $500,000, okay, then we can pay for 5 of those, and it doesn't go on the levy. So those are really important conversations and good scenarios to discuss. So yes, it would be a big impact, and we would be able to make really good, fiscally sound decisions using those dollars. One of the things that we did talk about is that the legislature isn't quite sure about how city budgeting works, right? We all do it a little bit differently. We have different softwares, we have different, assumptions, we have these different things. So how do we make it easier for the legislature to see what we're doing? How do we just have an open book? And so that's something I'm interested in. Can we have a dashboard so that our local legislators can show up and be like, okay, what are we doing here? How does this actually affect? And so I'm kind of interested in what that looks like, but again, a little further down.
Right. Actually, the budgeting documents are still right on your desk over there.
I know. It's probably going to be there for the rest of my life.
It's actually, I believe the calculator that you were using is right there too. You were doing all this on pen and paper, right?
Oh my goodness. Oh, can you imagine? We had a kid mayor today, and she was in the basement. We were looking at all the old documents, and she's like, "They really did all of this?" Yeah, the old stuff. Longhand.
Yes, indeed. I don't. Again, how they can manage that, I have no idea. But
we've got software, right, that always needs updating.
Indeed. One more thing before we let you go. Obviously, looking back now, everything that the city's accomplished here in 2022, what would you say some of the biggest wins for the city? What would you say are some of the things that maybe you wish would have gone better in the last year?
Sure, yeah. I mean, obviously the big thing in my head and in front of me and constantly in my mind is PFAS, right? So I wish that we had a little bit more opportunity to be thoughtful about a proactive solution instead of being the way we are reactive. We don't have a choice. So we are very reactive, but we're getting somewhere. I feel good. And we will be leaders in the state. And I'm, helping other municipalities through, this is what we're doing. So that's helpful. So that's been a challenge, but also I feel good about the direction we're going. I would also say, the mall redevelopment, that there were some starts and stops to that. And we have 1 block out of the 8, but I'm excited to get going on this. I signed all of the documentation for that, and they're going to get going soon on whatever preparations they need to do. So I'm excited to see how that goes, and having more people downtown is always a win here. Obviously, challenges, business environment is challenging right now. I was really sad about Foot Locker's decisions. I was really, it's really tough to see businesses having to make these decisions to move or lay people off. I'm seeing national news. So I think next year is going to be a tough year for people, and we're going to have to, tighten our belts and all of that. So we will, and I want to be here supporting our city.
Yeah, indeed, and those people that obviously been laid off at Foot Locker, others that you mentioned, there's still reason for them to come here to Wausau or to stay here in Wausau, because not only are you still looking for city employees, I'm sure, but there's other employers in the city that are looking too.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I actually talked to our transit director today, and we had 9 bus driver openings for so long, all summer. I mean, it was really through the school year. He was driving buses. But now we only have 3. So, slowly we're getting to where we need to go. We're so close to our HR director, our new HR director, so very excited about that. So yeah, but definitely opportunities for people. We have 6,000 open jobs right now in the county. Those are just the ones that are posted. So if there is somebody that wants to work, we got you.
In a variety of different fields, variety of different pay grades,
manufacturing,
anything,
professional,
right?
Whatever it is, we got it.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Mary Katie, we always appreciate the time. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody here at City Hall. We'll look forward to chatting again next year.
Yes, Happy New Year.